Welcome to the Let It Bleed podcast, a place where you can hear the liquor-fueled ramblings of two narcissistic wizards who conjure the essence of inspirational people every week and bring it straight to you.
Just how do you plan on doing that? Magic. Motherfucker.
And now for the wizards themselves, David Amaya and Phil Arroyo.
Yo. It is a fucking beautiful day outside. It's hot. It's sunny. We're finally out of this gloom. You know what it would be a perfect day for? Storming the gates of Area 51.
Hell fucking yeah. Oh, this is the most... See, this is the kind of real radical change, activism shit that we need here. When I saw that, I was like, dude, this is perfect. I love it.
You need to organize all those people, but post all the plans on Facebook and let them know that we're coming. Because that's what they're fucking doing, dude. It's like, it's crazy. I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, man. Well, I'm thinking, there's a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, we need some kind of... This is like a warm-up, This is like a practice in the, Bastille Day level kind of just activism and coordination that we need. That's only possible through the magic of Facebook and also the idiocy of Facebook. No, I like it, because what are they going to do? They're going to shoot all those people? You can't. Yeah.
Well,
it's brilliant.
That's true. But also imagine, let's say they go in there, and realistically, they go in there, they're going to probably, at this point, find nothing, or they probably won't get into wherever the fuck they're supposed to be going because, their plans are all over Facebook. But, I like the idea that it's shaking things up if they're actually going to go through with it. If people actually are going to go out there and actually make this thing happen instead of just hyping it up. But imagine they go in there and they do find some shit. They finally pull out these fucking Men in Black style gadgetry weapons and shit. And, it's out there now. And everybody's like, whoa, what the fuck? That right there alone would just change the face of so many things. All of a sudden, so many things would just become, so much less important,
I mean, if there's anybody who I trust less to guard the important secrets of our government, research technology, alien technology, and the advanced stuff, it's this administration. So I think this could work. And not only that, it sends a signal hey, there is nothing more powerful than organization. I mean, really, it is true. Everybody together.
Do you even think though that
they on one unified front?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
But do you think that this administration actually even knows about what's going on there?
Partially. Yeah.
Because I don't know, dude. That motherfucker would have tweeted about that shit from the very first moment that he would have gotten some down low information. I think that they've kept him out of the loop at least because he would have tweeted oh, it was pretty nice technology. The alien technology was pretty nice, but it wasn't as good as what I had at the Trump Towers back in 1992. I already was way ahead of them with my technology. So that's the kind of shit that would have came out if he actually did have any fucking knowledge of this whatsoever.
That's true. Yeah, instantly he would have been we have discovered aliens, I am the president who did it, and I have harnessed all this technology even though it happened in the 70s or some shit. He would instantly just jump to take all the credit for doing that. So yeah. I don't think he's aware. And I think that's why if anything he's shown himself to be pretty inept. We'll see, man. I'm hopeful that this is going to work. That people can pull this off.
I would hope that everybody would go to the Dulce Army base rather than the Area 51 base, because though Area 51 is the place where they supposedly worked on and had the element 115 and all that stuff, there is more I guess secrecy behind the Dulce Naval Air Base, and it's even been more difficult for people to get in there. There's just been accounts of people just getting shot from a mile away from even getting that close to it. So I would think that and the accounts that they have from that place are even more shocking than the ones that are coming out of Area 51. And I imagine that a lot of this hype, or a lot of the reason for people wanting to organize is because they watched that documentary on Netflix
that
about
one,
Area
right?
51. Yeah, with Bob Lazar, which is pretty freaking compelling. You know, it's like this is kind of like one of those things that I'm talking about, that this is not known. This is not really news. You know, that this stuff is going on. Like, all these people have said these things for so long, but just because there hasn't been some sort of like definitive proof or way that like was convincing enough for people to kind of believe it. It could really just go back and forth between like, yeah, you think there really are aliens, those are just crazy, you know, twacked out conspiracy theorists telling you that sort of thing, and then you're like, oh well, shit, you're probably right. But now you have like this scientist who actually worked there, and like they're proving that he worked there, and then they're proving the fact that like they tried to expunge all of like the records of him ever working there, you know, just getting rid of like everything that shows that he actually was an MIT, was it MIT? One of those tech school graduates, and that he actually worked, and then he worked at Los Alamos, and they called up and like try to find out. They're like, you know, freaking out, and they're like, you know, getting mad, like who is this? And he never worked here, but yet they can go look in the phone book and you see his name there, and there's like all this other evidence that shows that he actually was there, as well as just like the fact that you could just watch this guy and tell his story, and it does not look or seem like he's telling a lie. You know, he's very composed, and he just seems like a normal, average dude that, you know, is kind of just trying to stay out of the spotlight for so long, because you can imagine how much shit he got from.
Oh yeah,
you know,
it ruined his life. You know.
Right.
Like when he said that,
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
he's like, yeah, no. Oh, like, yeah, is it better or worse? Oh, it's way worse. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, of course it is. Yeah, these people who like kind of get out in public and get dragged around, like, it's not fun, you know? Going viral
Right.
does not sound like it is any kind of a good time. Like, I don't know, like that public scrutiny that gets up, it's the people, I mean, fuck, people get, shit, especially from the government, but people just get fucking death threats and shit like that immediately. Like, I can't imagine how shitty it is to go from being completely anonymous one day to, like that, basically, overnight, you know?
Right. Exactly. And, you know, this guy was just trying to be honest about, like, what was being hidden, and what for science purposes, you know, like, what we need to let the people know, and, like, what other scientists know is out there. And it's just the timing of it, like, finally coming out and being accepted without as much criticism. At this time, it's kind of interesting because it's just with this whole shift that like everybody's been talking about, like taking place. This like, I guess, you know, it's a time for revolution in one sense or the other. You know, with all of this crazy madness building up and all of these things happening in the world that are fucked up and shitty. There's only like, you know, there's only like one way we can go, and that's into a whole other fucking realm that's gonna kind of like finally take away from all of that.
You know, and it's, I mean, even for me personally, it's, I'm seeing this thing, and now I didn't finish it, but I'm seeing this thing at a time where I'm like, oh, okay, wait, there was that New York Times article that we talked about a few weeks ago that, like, was corroborating, you know, UFOs, like, being spotted and stuff like that, being seen by the Navy, and, like, you know, proof. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, shit's just getting weirder and weirder. So that thing coming out, you know what, it's time. It is time to storm Area 51. And just take this, you know, democratize the information. Take those secrets for everyone, you know?
Yeah, I just wish that there was a better way that they wouldn't have, they're not going to make it as obvious to the people that now, because they're probably, you know, freaking covering up anything that they need to cover up, or trying to hide shit and get rid of it. Because that would be such a bummer if they did go and, you know, found nothing. Because as I said, I think that, like, you know, for as much mystique is behind Area 51, I don't think that that's a place that still to this day has like as much to it as certain other bases that are like definitely more that have more things under wrap. So.
Well, yeah. Now, I can imagine they're probably kind of ready for that. But I think even just the exercise, you know, of taking that shit back, I think that, I like the message that sends, you know?
Right. Yeah, dude. Fucking some Stranger Things shit happening in real life. You know, Stranger Things since that on the very last day of the episode we recorded on 4th of July, I went back into work and I watched the whole fucking season in one sitting.
The new one.
The new season of
Now,
Stranger
I
Things,
have still not seen season 2 because I was like, oh, okay, season 1, like this is a good show. I didn't think it was. I didn't love it like to the same
Right.
level of fanaticism that I see everybody online liking it. So I'm like, okay, I'll get around to it. But yeah, so but I've heard good things about this new season. What do you think?
I think that it's, it is what it is. It's fun because it's got like all the nostalgic elements of our childhood, even though it was set in the 80s, a little bit before we were, born. I'm born in 87, but grew up in the 90s. And but you still like, without giving away certain things, there's like a part that they're singing like the Never Ending Story song, and just certain things that go on that really make you just feel happy, because it's like a complex story that talks about this crazy shit, but it's set in a time that people can understand a little bit easier, I think. Like, kind of the plot's like easier. Okay, well, you've got the Russians involved, and you've got like these things involved. Not to say that there still isn't shit with that today, obviously, with the government, but like,
real nostalgic today. But yeah, no, I get that, because we both grew up, watching this stuff, even if it wasn't like directly of our time. The shit's only 4 or 5 years old at that point. Like, it's still a very relatable thing for us 90s kids.
Yeah, and it plays up on all like those old school movies where like times were different back then. Like the things that like even the police. It's I don't know. It's hard for me to watch anything without having more negative critiques than I probably should, just because I overanalyze the fuck out of things. So I don't want to like go too much into that. I would say that it was entertaining. It was definitely worth the watch. I watched it. I had a good time. My critiques are just on like overacting from certain characters and stuff like that, but it is what it is. It's supposed to be like that. Like they're playing up that kind of cliche typecast sort of thing, where it's like, okay, this is the over eccentric nerdy kid, and he's gonna just be right on cue with the like that kind of
They
shit.
weren't exactly known for subtlety or like full 3-dimensional characters back then.
No,
That was not
No.
necessarily the thing. And some of the I will give credit though to Winona Ryder in the first season, because I remember she started. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, she's over the top. Like, take it down a couple levels. Like, where can you go from here? But then she went ahead and went even farther and crazy. I'm like, okay, I take it back. Like, that was okay, because you could actually back up like that expectation that you set. But yeah, no, for the most part, I get that, and I appreciate that actually in a lot of those, because some of them, I mean, sometimes overacting and just chewing the fuck out of some scenery is just fun,
Well, it wasn't so much her with me. Like, I can admit in the first season, yeah, she was acting crazy, because, I mean, if you really did go through that in real life, you probably would be that fucking crazy. But it was more Hopper, and he's a favorite character for a lot of people. He's like pretty much one of the main, characters, like one of the main adult character at least. But
That's
I
David
felt
Harbour,
like,
right?
yeah, the guy who played Hellboy.
Yes.
Hellboy.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
we were just talking about him.
I'm
last night.
terrible
Was that
with
good?
I'm
like,
terrible with I'm terrible with people's names in real life, and I heard that Hellboy, the new one, was terrible.
I did too. I just talked about
but-
this.
Yeah, like, I'm glad that they didn't pick some like Hollywood hunk type, like chiseled fucking manly man guy that like to play that role. Some extremely like good looking guy. They just picked kind of like your average Joe with all
I
of
thought
his
that was
flaws.
good casting,
I thought it was good casting. I don't know if it was the writing or if it was him though.
I never saw
but
it.
No, I'm not talking about Hellboy. I'm talking about Stranger Things
Stranger
still.
Things, right.
I'm talking about him. As far as the overacting, I feel like his whole like, I just felt like he was so whiny and bitchy. But that's just me, because a lot of people don't see it that way. Everybody I talk to, they're kind of like, huh, like, you're probably just, focusing a little bit too heavy on that. Overall, it was what it was. It was good. I really liked it, but I do have to kind of give, while we're talking about shows and entertainment, the new stand-up by Aziz. Ansari
it's fucking
is fucking
fantastic.
amazing. It's so fucking good. It's like it for me. It puts him right up there with the greats, you know, because he didn't skip a beat once. You know, there wasn't like a moment where he stuttered or like didn't have his thoughts, you know, kind of collected. But it also didn't seem like it was really rehearsed at all. It seemed like it was just straight coming from the heart, extremely sincere, and he articulated in such clever ways, you know, thoughts that I've had for so long that, you know, if you try to express these thoughts to people, it doesn't matter what side they're on, they're gonna like kind of like attack you in this thing, because, you know, it's not coming from a place where with like Aziz, where he can make light of a situation and make you kind of be like, huh, oh yeah, shit, I do that, I do fucking do that sometimes, you know, oh yeah, I am guilty of that. Like, oh fuck. And I think it was important for a lot of people to kind of hear that that side of it, because you know, it's definitely something that as a society we need to wake up and see, like, yeah, our heart may be in the right place most of the time, and we may want the right things, but maybe we're not getting our point across because we're acting this way, or we're doing you know, acting in a certain way that may not be it's just not working. So I thought that it was really fucking good, and I just think he's a genuine guy.
I think Aziz has always had a way of really, especially coming from his the special before this, is when I really kind of was like, wow, Aziz I think is one of the most, I think, prolific voices of like our generation. You know, somebody who really understands, like, you know, like the media landscape, like the first generation that kind of grew up with technology and stuff like that, who's like really into it, who kind of sees everything, is really good, adept at seeing things for what they are, you know?
Well, and also a guy who's been through, you know, obvious, like, probably, you know, discrimination, or, you know, just having to grow up as a minority in, you know, New York City, and
North
like
Carolina.
growing up, or North Carolina. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, North Carolina of all places, like probably one of the only brown people out there that,
The
you know,
only
the non-Mexican brown,
For sure.
like probably the only one. So, you know, he definitely understands what it's like. So he is a very he's a proper voice for any movement in that regard. You know, he's definitely somebody to listen to and be like, okay, this guy knows what the fuck he's talking about.
You know, and I was really wondering, because it's funny, like, when these things were popping up, I, like, in the news, the things that come up in a special, like R. Kelly and stuff like that, you know, all this stuff, I kind of also thought, like, damn, a lot of shit is not holding up well for Aziz, like, the way he's doing it, and I wasn't sure, I'm like, how is he going to kind of handle all these things that have kind of happened in the last, I don't know, what's it been, 2 years since he did a special? Like, not just the kind of giant cultural shift that, like, picked up steam, but also the, you know, all the things that personally involved him that were kind of intertwined here. And I was kind of wondering how he, you know, was going to handle that. And I was like, damn, that was, I mean, I think like a flawless dismount to me, you know?
Yeah.
I
mean,
thought
he was
really came
he was
across
sincere.
Well. Yeah.
He was like honest. He didn't really like try to defend himself either. He just like kept it very like.
Well, he's also in a position where I don't feel like he really needed to defend himself all that much. He could have just as easily not mentioned it, you know. But I thought him calling attention to it was a good thing, because ultimately of the lessons that he learned and the things that it taught us. Because you know, even that situation right there was one that inspired people who have not been caught up in something like that to just stop and think about things as well. Now, luckily, that one was kind of self-correcting for him, because, you know, there's a lot of people who are like, you know what, that's not, like, okay, now you're reaching a little bit, that's not okay, but how, you know, and like, no fault to this person who put him out there like that. But I just thought it was, I don't know, I thought it was a very mature, like, example, maybe, of that, like, I think, a message of like bringing kind of both sides of these conversations together. And I know it's such a like cliche thing here, but I thought it really did kind of, you know, say, hey, here's this, here's how it is. It was a good dialogue between two kind of I guess ideologies that want to read into these situations what they want to. You know what I mean? And
Right.
for it to all be like a meta narrative on that, you know, especially with him calling the guy out about the Pizza Hut swastika thing. I was like, that was a brilliant,
that was
a brilliant way to do it.
fucking crazy. But yes, it was like like you kind of feel bad for the guy a little bit because you're just like shit, like fuck, that guy feels like an idiot. Because
I don't even
there's
like
a lot
blame
of
that guy because I don't think he knew that it was there. Like there is this because fuck, so much shit is flying at us so fast.
It sounds
all the
like
time.
something that fucking happened. It
is
sounds
so
like something
easy.
that would have fucking happened.
Yeah. It is so
Like,
easy to
I was-
kind of half remember maybe something similar or something else and just kind of create that memory and be like, oh, I think I remember it. Like, we all do that, you know? And not
Exactly.
intentionally, not in a way that's, like, meant to be deceptive or, like, I'm trying to be cool or anything like that, which is the way that gets kind of spun. But it's, like, it's just...
Well, there definitely are people who are like that, and then there are people, like you're saying, like us, that, you know, will probably have, like, thought, okay, well, there was that whole thing with the beer pong swastika thing and, like, in Newport, and so, like, you just have these little pieces from these stories that, you know, and we watch so much fucking television. We have so many shows. It happens with the television shows we watch, too. It's, like, hard to remember what happened in which fucking... like, wait, was that Stranger Things or was that fucking The Society? I don't remember. Like, you know, it could have been
things
both.
down every week so I can remember to talk about them because so much shit happens every single week. It's like, of course, people like we fuck up sometimes. We misremember shit, you know. And you just like you saying, you slap on that default point of view on that shit,
Yeah.
and you go, okay, like this is the fight. You know, it's like Memento. Like you just kind of like wake up and you're like, oh, okay. I guess I'm chasing this person now, you know, without really stopping to consider stuff. And it's a lesson for all of us, you know. I don't fault that guy. Like that guy's not like I don't think he's a douchebag now, and I don't assume somebody's like intentionally doing that when that kind of shit happens because I get that,
Right.
You know.
Right. That makes sense, yeah. And I liked how you also said, you know, about like 2019 view versus like a few years ago. Like there's, you know, certain things obviously that you're just not going to stand for. Like even if there's allegations from somebody a long time ago doing what R. Kelly did, well, fuck that guy, you know. But like he was saying how, you know, a few years ago he's rewatching one of his Parks and Recs episodes where he, like, you know, gives Rashida Jones the teddy bear with the camera in it, and he's like, you know, today's time I would probably read that script and be like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that, you know. But at that time it was just like, it didn't seem like it was as bad of a joke because the like perversion wasn't as like the actuality of that scene wasn't like really such a big thing out in the world. Like there wasn't at least it wasn't you know, in the news as much probably, or it wasn't such a thing that where people were like, well, fuck, that shit's really happening, and this is like a perverse fucked up thing, you know. It just kind of seemed lighthearted and funny, and you see that throughout history of cartoons and stuff where like now it just, yeah, you wouldn't even think to fucking put that joke in there,
It's
but
crazy,
at the time
Yeah, I love that. Because I have gone on that rant, but I think I've gone on that like same rant on this show before. Because I remember watching shit that, you know, I've seen recently. It wasn't Parks and Rec, but I remember watching. It was an episode of How I Met Your Mother. Somebody was just trying to convince me that it was a good show, and they played one episode for me where it was like they were all trying this move where they went on a date, and then when they invited somebody over to their apartment, and then when they got there, they were just naked. And I'm like, yo, that's fucking not okay. Like, when's this from? It's like 2013.
the Naked
Are you
Man.
kidding?
You're talking about How I Met Your Mother, the Naked Man one.
Yeah, I'm like, Jesus
Where
Christ.
like where the Robin, she played it off and she's like, yeah, okay, but like it totally would, that's sexual assault, you know, and it would not, with all the allegations and you know, things that have been fucked up and exposed in Hollywood, that just doesn't seem funny now, you know, because that all came kind of after that episode was aired.
Oh yeah, all of it came just a few years kind of after that, which really makes you like put all these things in context and be like, damn, like we were kind of conditioned to like see all this stuff as kind of okay, you know?
Oh,
and then you
dude,
look at the
well,
people who run this stuff, who are kind of who are very much into doing that, kind of, you know, using those platforms to do this shit. You're just like, damn, it really it is crazy, you know? And, like, I get it. I'm not, like, faulting the people who made this stuff originally for not having the 2019 lens to put on these things, you know? Like,
Right.
the art was what it was back then, but I'm like, yeah, no, it's a trip how problematic, like, fucking Friends and shit is. Like, major network shit. Like, how, fucking... I don't know. There's just a whole genre of romantic comedies that were just like, whoa, this person's a fucking psychopath, and you're the main character, the protagonist. Like, damn, dude.
Well, you know, it's fucking crazy. Like on a note that's not like as easy to accept. It's kind of more. It just bothers you a little bit more. But it was unfortunately that way in the '60s. I just watched. I just finished reading Hell's Angels finally, with written by Hunter S. Thompson, about the Hell's Angels. You know, he infiltrated or he like hung out with them for quite some time, and you know wrote a fucking book, and it was like, honestly, it's a fucking excellent book. Anybody who's never read it, I highly recommend that you go and read that. It's just so fucking like good. And he goes on to some person of the time, some talk show on television, and he's on there, and they bring on this fucking Hell's Angel guy, one of the guys, to come and kind of, you know, rebuttal some of the points that or you know, just kind of to say that he was call him out for supposedly making shit up or whatever. And this Hell's Angel's up there talking about, and he says it so like plain and casual. He's like, yeah, he was beating his old lady. Yeah, he beat her to shit. He's like, but she was talking back, and sometimes you just need to shut the hell up. And in the crowd, you see like older fucking women with their husbands just laughing and kind of chuckling it off, like ho 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 ho. Like that was the laughing part of the show. And you're like, this is not a joke. This is not a parody. This is a real life airing on television. Like, this was a widely accepted thing. You're just like, what the fuck? Holy shit. You know, we really, I mean, it kind of says a lot as to how much we have actually progressed. Even though it seems as though we are so fucking far behind where we should be, you know, you gotta, like you were saying last time, take those small victories, because, like, we are light years ahead of that. You know, that would not be okay to go on television fucking saying today.
Oh yeah, no. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice, as Dr. King would say. Like, you know,
like
you really do gotta, like, you gotta look at things from back out and look at them from just that you know, that helicopter view, that 10, 20, 30, 40 year view. You know, like, because when you think about the timeline, it's like, damn, we are like what? 40 years, really? 40, 50 years removed from, like, Jim Crow. That's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, people are very much still alive that were, like, living under that shit right now. And we're like, what, 120, 130, 140 years away from, like, slavery and shit like that? Dude, it has not been that long since all this shit happened. You know, and it's like, okay, we do gotta, like, obviously don't rest, because there's still so much fucking work to do. But it's like, yeah, I mean, shit, even you know, gay marriage was still illegal in many places 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Like, that's crazy.
You used to have to freak the fuck out about marijuana. You know, about going to jail for marijuana. Now it's like, fuck it.
Well, people still do. That's what's fucking crazy.
I'm still. Yeah, in other states, that's fucking ridiculous. And, you know, the fact that people in California, I don't know, have people in California been pardoned for their shit yet?
Not all the way, I don't think. That, like, there are workshops, I think, like, for people to get records expunged and stuff like that. I think for the most part, yes, but they, like, the speed at which this bureaucracy has been going has been kind of not, you know, fair to people, because these people need to get their records kind of clean, shit like that. So there's, like, workshops and stuff, but, you know, even in this very progressive ass state, like, it still moves kind of slow, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and then yet you have, well, this is completely going off topic. I was trying to find a way to kind of segue into it, because I know you've seen it, and I know you've for sure got a lot of things to say about it, but the whole fucking, in retaliation to them not being able to get the citizenship question on the survey, the whole website fiasco, little mini survey that he put out on his website, Trump's website.
Oh, actually, I don't know what you're talking about.
What? Oh my God, you really don't? Oh, dude, I sent it to you. I think. I think I messaged it to you yesterday.
You did?
Dude, you have to go on to like Donald Trump's website, or I don't know where it would be at, but yeah, dude, he fucking put out this like his own little survey. Well, you take the quiz, and you can find this easily on Facebook. Like, it was definitely going around.
Oh, my bad. Okay, I didn't see this yesterday. You did send me something.
So go ahead and check it out real quick and see like the picture and just read. And this is a real thing. This is not. This was not somebody else that made it up and put it up there as a joke. This was something that is on his fucking website.
It just says attachment unavailable, and then sends me back to Facebook. I think that's what happened.
Oh, well then they either they took it down. They must have put it up for one day, or something's wrong with that. But basically, it said like it was just like, who would you want as your president? And I'm just paraphrasing, and it's two answers: Donald Trump or a sleazy Democrat. And then who would you trust with, this and that to get this done for you? Trump or something else, another adjective, Democrat. Something like, and then it was funny because they put a lying Democrat in there once, right? And because they wanted to use lying again, but they didn't want to be redundant, they put lion without the G and an apostrophe, just a lying Democrat.
Wow.
Yeah, but
This whole long thing, like just straight up fucking propaganda, like at its most blatantly unapologetic fucking core. That's exactly what this was. And you're like, wow. And you want to think that any self-respecting, free thinker, quote unquote, would say, hey, like, yeah, this guy's a fucking clown. But that they're probably going to laugh at it and think that it's great because he's still not taking shit and doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's fucking that whole situation is wild because he has the worst speechwriters and like the worst marketing team like around him to kind of get this going. Basically, because no self-respecting person would actually work for him to get these things done. But like, what's crazier is that like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because like all this is it makes it like the absolute fucking buffoonery of it all makes it kind of seem like it's not dangerous, because we feel like, oh, okay, we can laugh at it, like people will realize, but the problem is like people are not going to realize and people don't care. I saw this I forget who did it. I think it was at the Young Turks or something like that. They were interviewing people at this rally that he was holding, and they were asking this lady questions about Donald Trump, and then he said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would he wouldn't lose a single supporter. Like, do you agree with that? She's like, no, he didn't say that. And she's like, yeah, no, he did say that though. Remember he said that on the campaign. He's like, no, that's fake news. And she's like, no, like he's on video saying this to crowds of people, thousands of people. Everybody knows he said that. It's like a common thing. She's like, no, fake news. And she's like, no. And she like pulled out a video and showed her, and she's like, that's fake. No, fake news. I'm just like, what the fuck? There's literally
this is why I'm
nothing
saying,
you
man,
can do to dissuade these people.
This kind of goes into the whole fucking bigger picture of it, like being not as in control of it by us as we might think. This whole crazy like fucking like Lord of the Rings type shit. Like this is just some crazy fucking part in a movie, like in some simulation where this is just like programmed to happen. Like they're like the bad video game characters or something. I don't fucking know. It's fucking crazy though, because you're right. Like there's logic does not apply here.
Well, I mean, he's like on that citizenship question. He just said, today he's still trying to just charge through and put the citizenship questions on there. And it's like, yo, you can't, like, it went up to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court said no. Like, that is the system of checks and balances. If he does this, straight up, and nothing happens, our Constitution is in the trash. Straight up. We are in full-scale authoritarianism. This is the constitutional crisis that I have been talking about and warning about. Like, it's here. This is fascism. This is Trump using places like ICE, which we talked about last week, using all these kind of rogue agencies to secure his own power in there. He's not going to leave in 2020, and we're not going to have fair elections at this point. And the leadership in the House fucking refusing to call up an impeachment inquiry, and it's so frustrating how slow this whole process has gone. And every day that we let this shit go by unchecked, like the fucking military parade, okay? Every day that which got rained on, which was beautiful, but
and he fucked up on speech, but it was the teleprompter's fault and all of that stuff. Yada yada.
Yeah, no, his airport thing. I mean, I think that I was upset because that distracted from the fact that he spent, probably well over $90 million. It was also used as a bribery scheme for him to, take in a shitload of money from these lobbyists to relieve Chinese sanctions. And then it was also and then he didn't pay the bill. So that's like the other thing too. But all of these things together, it's lawlessness. It's absolute fucking lawlessness. And he has packed the courts, and now they're about to strike down the ACA on. They're not even trying. It's a kangaroo court right now. They're throwing 20 million people off of their insurance, off of an insane legal argument that no self-respecting person would fucking mind. But Mitch McConnell and Trump, for the last 2 years, have just been speed appointing judges to all these federal benchships across the country for the last couple of years. And while it's like, oh, okay, well, luckily nothing much has gotten done. No, that has gotten done. These are lifetime appointments that we are not going to be able to stop because, and then the Senate Democrats and shit like that, there's been no fight, because we lost all these battles, kind of a long time ago. This is those chickens coming home to roost, or however that phrase goes. But it is, it's freaky, man. People are, I heard this quote from someone the other day. They were saying people keep comparing all this to the end of the Holocaust, saying, well, we're not there yet. But it's like, you're looking at the wrong time frame. Like, compare this to the beginning of the Holocaust, and we are absolutely there. We're actually well past that. We are probably at the midpoint, And it's wild that I've still not seen people, not just in politics or in just civilian life, but people in the media too. Just a complete dereliction of duty for them to call out and give context to everything that's going on here. Like, he's holding a quote social media summit today. I'm like, why is everybody referring to this as a social media summit? He is literally bringing in all of the worst conspiracy theorists and meme people and propaganda people all to a meeting at the White House to, celebrate them and talk about quote censorship of them, when it's like, it's not censorship, it's like the algorithms have absolutely helped them to get where they are, and it gets me so fucking worked up. I just fucking spin in a circle and spin out, and this is exactly their plan, and I'm trying to avoid that, but it's like, it's tough to really put in context and to talk about the scale of the problem when they are just so goddamn buffoonish, they're just so stupid, which makes it so much more frustrating that all of this shit is working,
I'm just glad that we were able to see for our own eyes the proof that all the border patrol stuff is just one big sham from that video that was posted the other day, going around showing how all of AOC's testimonies were lies.
Oh man,
all that stuff.
I see you trolling me right now, and you're doing good. You're doing a good job. You almost that almost worked for a second. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, people will believe whatever the fuck you put in front of them if you want to believe, no matter how much gigantic empirical evidence to the contrary they say.
Phil, it was a long video, a whole 2 minutes and 57 seconds. They showed a supply room, they showed a toothbrush, they showed running water from a sink, Okay, that's clearly showing that all of these people across all sectors are well taken care of. And, you know, there is no abuse. They didn't show inside the cells, they didn't show anybody because they just didn't want you to see how freaking good they were doing.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's shit like that just goes out there, and it's all cynical propaganda. You know, all of it, man. We just saw this week that that the whole, do you know the Seth Rich conspiracy that was being pushed about people were saying that this was a State Department staffer working under Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who is the one who leaked all these documents to WikiLeaks. That's what they were saying. And then he was killed outside of his apartment in D.C. And people were saying he was about, you know, the conspiracies that he was about to testify and say that he was the one who did it, and then he got killed. Well, I mean, he was killed in a dangerous neighborhood. Like, that was unfortunate, but, you know, we now know that's definitely absolutely not where the documents came from. You know, they came from Russia. Like, Russia hacked them and then gave them to WikiLeaks. And then Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, was happy to imply that it was that guy who killed them. Or that guy who gave it to them, and then he was killed. And so he was absolutely abetting this fucking conspiracy theory that was seeded by Russia. Like, Russia planted that conspiracy theory and those ideas into a couple of forums, and then they made their way from 4chan to Reddit to Alex Jones to, I started drinking early today. To Alex Jones.
I started smoking early today.
Nice. It's all these places, and they trace that lineage back and went, yeah, fucking all of this, dude. It's state warfare. Like, the truth that these people deal in is it's an act of fucking terrorism from a hostile foreign country, man. It's just wild. And these people are just so in it now they can't stop. Like, nobody's about to make a difference. Like, you know, I was telling you about Justin Amash, the congressman who came out in support of impeachment of the president, because he was the only one with the courage to be like, hey, like, to say the emperor had no clothes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And he actually officially left the party a few days ago, I think it was, because he's like, I can't be a part of this Republican Party right now. And oh shit, they just did a poll and they said like 60, I think it was 70%, 65 or 70% of the respondents, I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I apologize if it's wrong, said that they agree with this statement that, like, the immigrants and asylum seekers are, like, getting what they deserve. You know, they shouldn't have tried to come here. And, like, the government is doing everything that is necessary. That is 60 or 70% of, like, identified Republicans are saying, like, all this shit they see, that's okay. And it's like,
right.
This is a rot. That's not just a few bad apples, man. This is at its core a fucking problem. You know, this is CBP trying to say that, you know, a 10,000 member Facebook group that is sharing fucking memes about, you know, migrants is just a few bad apples, or saying not representative of the culture at large, when the whole department is 20,000 people. Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it's fucking crazy.
That's what I'm saying is, like, you have one guy who, you know, without trying to cast any judgment on him, but I mean, in my opinion, it didn't really look like he was that convincing at all in any fucking way. It didn't look like he believed his own bullshit, you know, showing us all this stuff, like just going through and showing us one fucking supply room with like some socks and some shit, and it's just like, yeah, like, you know, this, like, everything's taken care of, but the lies were, you know, thoroughly debunked. thoroughly debunked.
You know? I think it's time for us to start, you know, thinking of these problems as systemic, because, like, I'm just seeing too many stories, man, that are making me real nervous. Too many things that are like, you know, you know, police like bumping fists with the Proud Boys and shit like that. Like white supremacists being in the military, you know, military, like, what was it, military court just ruled not guilty on this Navy sergeant who, like, was pretty indiscriminately just fucking killing civilians over in Afghanistan. Like, he he slit like a kid's throat, and like it was so bad that like his subordinate, Navy crew or whatever they call them, they were the ones that turned him in. They're like, yo, this is really fucked up. And it's like,
Yeah.
and this is the same guy that the president was thinking about pardoning before the trial. And it's like, we're sending a signal here that all of this shit is okay, this lawlessness, this kind of rampant, like, criminality and just unabashed, like, support of white supremacy, like, in these institutions is kind of being condoned, man. It's making me nervous. It's making me real fucking nervous because that in combination
everybody's
with the outright
gonna think
fascism
that
on the
they're
door.
the vigilantism that's always been kind of celebrated throughout history. In the movies, obviously you could see with these characters, depending on what movie it is, that they had a just cause or whatever. But the average Joe Smo with a fucking gun out in the public, like for instance, like the guy a couple years ago in Anaheim, the cop that was off duty, on his fucking dad's lawn where the kids were walking on it or stepping on it and whatever, decided that it was a smart idea because he was trying to teach these kids respect for their elders, apparently, by pulling out his gun and trying to scare them, calling them, talking shit to them. Like, you get those kind of people when that thing is sort of celebrated and put out there. And,
absolutely,
and
man.
People are made to believe that, like, this is okay. Like,
I've seen two stories like that this week, There was a guy in I think it was Kentucky, who just walked up and shot this kid because he was blasting hip-hop music. That was literally his reason. That was the reason he gave to the police. I will give you one guess as to his ethnicity. It's like, this is a serious fucking problem. And now that it was also reported that the FBI fucking, quote, lost the file on Stormfront USA, like this Nazi group. Like, I'm like, oh shit, like, the white supremacy is coming from inside the house, and I don't know how to fucking properly, like, sound the alarm on this shit, man. I worry that it's going to be too late by the time everybody kind of starts to realize, like, what's happening, because we are absolutely kind of descending into full-scale fucking fascism, man. And it scares the hell out of me, man. Like,
I kind of have a little bit of a different thing. Obviously, it's not that I disagree with anything like you're pointing out. It's just also, for me, I don't think that people are not realizing it as much as we think. I think that, yeah, on the surface it seems that way, but I think that subconsciously or deep down, people know, and I think that thinking about things or the idea of thinking about this stuff makes it just too unbearable for them to think about, and they don't want to do it. Like it's partly dissonance. Like they just will like ignore it and say no, it's not happening, or they'll find things to distract them and go on with their life. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying that where we are, if we're observing, what's going on, I don't think that freaking out is the way to go about it, because it only pushes more people away from wanting to do something about stuff.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I think you're right.
I think that, that sort of stuff just, like, in theory, if everything went according to, like, how it should, based on logic, what makes sense to us, then we wouldn't be going through these problems. But it doesn't, the narrow parameters that we have to kind of just go off of what we created as far as our own logic, it could be split between people who just want to fucking, they just don't want to agree with you. They're just not going to agree with you, so they're going to find a way to, make whatever fucking case that they have against it, or at least, even if they don't disagree with you, they just don't want to, like, go along with it. I don't think that there is any one way for any of us to, like, really, 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 like, sound the alarms to, like, put a stop to it. And this is why I I say that it's important to call these things out. You know, it's definitely important to be aware as much as possible of what's going on. I'm not saying that we shouldn't go out there and like listen. I'm not saying not to listen to this, to disregard it. I'm not saying to just act like nothing is going on, but you know, finding the positive solutions to the problems and going out and kind of like facing you know, think globally, act locally, right? You know, as you said before, like finding the things within your local area or even in your own personal life to do that can change the minds of these people, that may be a different approach than just pointing out what is wrong, because people are tired of hearing what's wrong. They're fucking scared. It's hard to think about this shit. It's overwhelming. You know firsthand that, you know, you've had to take like a fucking break. So it's very exhausting. And, you know, it's kind of, even though it's important to bring this out to people, it also, you have to understand a lot of, there are going to be people who receive it as it's intended to be received and will have the, you know, the call to action to go and get involved in politics, or, you know, you get more involved in their community and go to city hall meetings and trying to fix things from, you know, the ground up essentially. And then there are going to be people who are just be like, well, fuck, it is going south, so I'm just going to fucking try to like have as much fun and do whatever the fuck I can while I'm alive without having to think about that sort of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, unfortunately, it's not going to be where everybody's just going to like learn this and then go and fix it.
Yeah, I actually agree with everything you just said. Actually, I do think you're right. And you know, there are times here where it's hard for me to restrain the full scale fucking panic that I'm in most of my day. Just to not fucking stress people out, because you're right. There is a level that it gets to, and there's this kind of depression that happens from that. You know, it depresses the level, the energy, and people don't want to actually get shit done. You know, it gets into this like, well, shit, better take care of me before like everything goes to hell here. I mean, I made a joke, but I was kind of serious about, you know, when those earthquakes happened last week. When I was like, oh shit, this is the big one. I'm like, you know what? All right, like, right. That was the part that legitimately did freak me out. How okay I was with just death right now, and I was like, damn, that says a lot about me there in that moment that I wasn't really expecting. You know?
Well, yeah, and so a lot of these.
No, go ahead.
A lot of these problems that, like, because I jokingly but kind of somewhat seriously said the same thing when I was on the bed, like, fuck, I'm not moving, whatever happens, happens. And I'm not joking, you know? And that whole mentality comes from, like, some other stuff too, but I think that that's a kind of the common human condition, especially for people of like our generation and even younger, and why there's so much nihilism out there is because people are tired. They're exhausted. They're exhausted because they don't know how to, you know, deal with these sort of things. You know, and they said, I read a study or a recent article about a study that shows, you know, the more intellectual you are, the more depressed you are, just because you're aware of all the fucking bad things that are going on, especially at this time, this boiling point in our history, in our human timeline, where like naturally this was bound to happen whether we made all the right political decisions or not, like one way or another. Like, this motherfucker got into this place because it was just this sort of like this point in time, whether it's, you know,
the deal with the devil was made a long time ago.
Right, you know, we didn't start the fire.
Yeah,
but
before
it's
we
been
were
all,
born, man. It was always
right,
starting.
so, and it's been going. So, you know, this sort of thing is like a lot of people, even though it does tie into politics and, you know, like the economy ties into this and everything else, you know, a lot of people are just really thinking about how am I going to fucking make, you know, my next mortgage payment, or even my next rent payment, or my car payment, which I sleep out of, you know. And so these are the things that people are like more concerned with, and at the end of the day it's like,
it's all the same thing.
I'm going to make myself happy by drinking it away or doing that. But if I have to suffer, and that's why, you know, like Rick and Morty is such a brilliant show, because they have like, you know, Mr. Meeseeks character. It's like, existence is pain. You know, this guy is just, he lives and he wants to live to serve other people and make other people feel better. Why? Because he feels like shit. He's a fucking, like, existence to him is pain. He only wants to exist to help other people because, like, just living in is such a painful fucking thing, you know. And it's kind of like what a lot of people are going through. It's like, fuck, man, how much we're seeing it more than we've ever seen before, of really strong, powerful figures that have been influential in so many ways, just, not being able to take it. And a lot of people's reactions right away are like, well, damn them, they're selfish, they're just, they're fucked up, and automatically looking at like them, deciding to remove themselves from this world is such a terrible thing. And I'm not in any way condoning or saying that, you should go that route. I believe, and I'm still here for the reason that I believe, there's more to do, and that we should, we not only for other people, but for ourselves, it is a challenge, but it's something to go for. But, it puts things into perspective when you have so many fucking people that are doing that now. Like, the numbers are ridiculous. It's like, it's almost like when people die now, it's not even from, an expected drug or overdose or heart attack. It's almost like, oh shit, it was suicide.
Yeah, I mean,
even if it was drug related or whatever.
It's it's a wild world out there. But that being said, yeah, like the point you were just making, man. Like, life is still beautiful, and I can say that with a fucking straight face. I'm still having fun every week. I still enjoy this shit. I still enjoy so many things, like,
Right.
and it's good to, I think, really indulge in those, for moments when you can. I get mad at people who do nothing but that, but
Right.
there is definitely a balance to strike, and that is probably the most important lesson that I've learned over these past couple of years. Is when to just fucking kick back and have fun and enjoy yourself and appreciate that, like, Kawhi Leonard, like, went to the Clippers here, and read fun stories like that, because I don't know if you know, but Paul George's ex, who also went to the Clippers, his ex is the Clippers head coach Doc Rivers' daughter, who he allegedly cheated on with a Miami stripper, who I believe got pregnant. And now Doc is his coach, and Doc traded away his own son, Austin, and traded for the guy that knocked up a stripper while dating his daughter. And Doc Rivers doesn't give a fuck, and that's why I love the Clippers, man. Oh shit! It's fucking been a fun week. Just to transition away from that, because we're almost at an hour here, and I think it's important to also highlight some of the good shit that happened, like the USA women's team. Fucking won the world championships, and this chick Megan Rapinoe, I mean, she's fucking dope as hell, man. Have you seen anything about this?
No, man. I mean, that's awesome that the women won, and I was shocked as fuck that the men's team was in the finals of the World Cup. Like, if you would have told me that Mexico and USA were in the finals of the World Cup, like the day before, or before I actually went to work and watched it, because I did not pay attention to it at all. I did not know. I would have been just.
Wait.
I had no.
Are we sure about that? I thought they got knocked out. I thought they got knocked out before the fucking thing.
No, dude, it was USA and Mexico in the World Cup final for the men's. At least, unless I was high as fuck when I was watching this.
I don't think that's right. I thought they got knocked out before, like, I thought they got knocked out before, like, the fucking qualifiers and shit. They did, like, many years in a row.
Dude.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a regional final.
Oh,
not the World Cup final. Regional final.
Oh,
Okay. Well, that shows you how much I don't watch sports. I don't. So okay, that makes sense, because I was like, what? Like the final. I was asking the guys at my work. I was like, wait, this is the finals? They're like, yeah. I'm like, the World Cup. They're like, yeah. And I was like, holy shit, the fuck! I would have never like. If you would have said Mexico and USA in the World Cup finals, I would have been like, you're fucking joking me. There's no fucking
because they're not very good at this. But the fucking chicks are, man. And the team captain of the women's team has just been like, she's just cocky as shit and just talks all this trash, and she backs it the fuck up, dude. And it's fucking, it's hilarious. Like, just watching her go, and she's really good at, like, getting the fucking crowds hyped up. I'm like, damn, I fucking like this chick. And she was like talking all this shit, and then somebody asked her, to tie these things together, somebody asked her, I think a couple days before the championship, like, so are you gonna go to the White House if you win? And she's like, fuck the White House. Who the fuck wants to do that? Yeah, no, I don't give a fuck about that guy. Like, we're not going to that shit. And it was just like such a like just smooth, off the cuff, instant like raw moment. And you know, the president fucking decided to weigh in all these, you know, conservative Piers Morgan, Ben Shapiro, what you fucks. They were all like, okay, how about you win first, and then you can talk all that shit. You know, you uppity lesbian. And then she went ahead and she crushed everybody, like scored the game-winning goals. And, you know, she's still talking shit. And it's fucking fantastic because all of them got to shut the fuck up. And I love it. So, Megan Rapinoe is my fucking, you know, badass hero of the week here.
That is something definitely to be stoked on.
Something to be fucking proud of, right? She is an American hero, right? And I see her up there. I'm just like, damn, like this is gonna be like inspiring. Like she's just a good role model and shit like that. Like I stand this girl hard. So Megan Rapinoe, shout out to her and the women's national team, and also the conversation that it has introduced into the lexicon about equal pay, because like. The women's national team, they bring in like fucking 60% more viewers, make 40% more revenue for the league and stuff like that. Yeah, they're way more popular, bring way more things in. They have multiple world championships under their belt, and they still get paid like 30% of what the men's team does.
Well, then that's crazy, because that would have been my natural thought, and what everybody's been saying is that the only reason why, well, not, I mean, that's obviously that's not the only reason, but the reason why the number was so different was just because, and this happens to be true, unfortunately, with like basketball in comparison to like women's basketball, is that the ratings, you know, are just, it's the sponsorships and the ratings that dictate.
And that made that, yeah, I could get that. I could get that for a while if it was a sliding scale, but it's like, damn, no, like. Obviously, all these things are factors, but like that is like okay, they're still getting paid
you
that
just
much
mentioned
less
that they're
without it. Like you're giving away the game if you're fucking not playing these chicks like exponentially more money than the men's team.
Right.
Because
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Well, then that definitely does need to.
It needs to change, man.
Fucking change.
Equal pay.
It's gonna change. Yeah.
Equal pay. Anyways, that's an hour. So I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling hopeful.
Yeah.
And
I gotta get going back to work myself.
Go USA.
Right.
So,
so anyways,
don't forget to follow the podcast. However you guys get your podcasts out there in podcast land, that is through Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, any way you do it. And I don't feel like coming up with a crazy fake way to get it this week. So why don't you just go ahead and follow me on social media at Phil Nobody Cares on Twitter, and then flip that around for at Nobody Cares Phil on Instagram. And how about you, sir?
Well, we've got a couple things going on. I've got Mutate Saturday evening in LA. It's going to be fucking awesome. Jade Cicada will be headlining this one. And if you are not really into the bass music scene, I will say that this particular artist will probably make you want to be, because his stuff is something that I think a lot of people can really enjoy. It's very melodic and dope. And as well, the show that we're going to put on is going to be fucking amazing. So come out, check that out. I've got a couple other things, like next weekend on the 20th, we have a fundraiser for Lumadance over at the Tiki Bar in Costa Mesa. Our friends are doing a fundraiser for their Burning Man camp, which is going to be pretty fucking awesome. And I'm really trying to see if I can make my way and join them with their camp and go to Burning Man for the first time. So, put that out there for me. We'll see if I am able to do it. I will. It's going to be very spontaneous, but yes, that's cool. And then the very following day, we have Art in the Park. It's going to be lemonade stand themed, so we're going to come out and make some lemonade stands and have some lemonade battles where concoct your own lemonade and have some contests to see who made the best stuff, and just chill and hang out at the park and make art and do some dope stuff. So that is all we've got coming up. You could follow the Psychedelic Lions Den, the Psychedelic_Lions_Den on Instagram and on Facebook. My personal Instagram account is Hoodrat Stuff. Just come and support the artists that we have surrounding us. All these really fucking amazingly talented people who are coming together and creating a community that's going to allow for us to really do some bigger things, and that's fucking great. It's beautiful to see a lot of what we've founded this podcast on to really be doing some fucking awesome things for a lot of people. So yeah, check that out. And you know, we hope that you took away something amazing from this podcast episode. As much as we can't rest on, you know, the accomplishments and the, you know, the things that we're doing, we still need to get out there and pay attention and, you know, just know what's going on. But we do need to give thanks where it is due. And I think that just being alive, despite all the chaos, is a beautiful thing, because one way or another we are experiencing something. You are experiencing this world, and you know, it really is due to the choices that you make in terms of like how you choose to perceive things. So remember to, when you wake up, realize that it's a new day, and you know, just say that you have been blessed with abundance, and speaking these things out loud and saying the good things that you're going to do for yourself and for others during that day will help you carry that out. And as this happens, and as you start to see these changes, it might make, you know, other people see these changes, and that's, you know, something that really is immeasurable in terms of being able to see how we are going to get ourselves out of this weird fucking chaotic period in human history. Yeah, so, you know, we really do have more power than... It's important to realize we have more power individually than we allow ourselves to believe. And as the whole, it's also important to realize that, you know, we can't necessarily always predict or dictate how we're going to be able to change it. But we are. We are, by getting out there and paying attention, doing what you can do to keep yourself from freaking out and freaking other people out, and just being happy. Just try to be happy and make other people happy, and you'll see tremendous changes. So yeah, thank you all for fucking tuning in, and we'll catch you next week. Let it bleed.